Okay, we're about to go live. So don't say anything you don't want to be in the universe forever. Glad everyone's laughing about that.
We're used to it.
Can we let some of these young folks know that? That would be great.
We should.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Carrie. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Alicia. Thanks, Mark, for coming. Appreciate it. I think I said hi to Brian. If I didn't, hi, Brian, again. We're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, Bob and Liz. Thank you for letting me know. If you're a two-person household and only one stream, let us know in the comments. We can make sure we've got you in attendance. So I appreciate it. Thanks, Bob. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and call this January 21st Madisonville Community Council General Body Meeting to order. If we could go ahead and observe a moment of silence. Thank you. And if wherever you are, you can join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Find something red, white, and blue, and show our love for our amazing country today. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Miss Amanda. I see Sean there in the background. Amanda's going to go ahead and talk us through virtual meeting info. Nobody thought we'd still be doing this in January 2021, but here we are. Amanda, take it away.
Here we are. Thanks, Kate. All right, guys, most of you probably heard this maybe 9 or 10 or 12 times by now. So for those of you that haven't, that are joining us on Facebook, if you have questions, if you want to go ahead and drop questions in the comment area, we will answer those as we get to them. There's a bit of a delay, so we may have to come back to some topics if that's the case. But for all of those that are on Zoom, some of you are panelists and some of you are attendees. If you have questions, please use the Q&A feature. It should be down on your bottom, when you're looking at your video, down in the bottom where you have all the different action items. If you would like to either ask your question yourself, or if you just have a comment you'd like to make, feel free to use the raise your hand feature, and we will get to you as time permits. And then lastly, there's a chat feature that allows you to chat directly to someone. So if you need to ask Kate something or myself something directly, feel free to send us a message. Or if you want to post something to the panelists or attendees, you can do that. We just ask that questions kind of go through the Q&A option or the raise your hand option. So I think that just about covers it. As Kate mentioned, we are live streaming on Facebook. So just so everybody know that.
All righty, thank you, Miss Amanda. We appreciate it. Amanda, quick question. Did Joan provide the treasurer's report for you?
She provided, I believe it was November's financial position and November's statement of activity.
Perfect.
to those over yet. So would you like me to share those?
Yes, if we can share those, we'll go ahead and get those out. I know she's currently working on December, so at our February meeting, we'll go ahead and present those for approval.
All right.
And with that, I'm going to go ahead and move to our public administration announcements. I don't see anyone from Cincinnati Fire Department here this evening. So I'm going to turn it over to Officer Brown with the Cincinnati Police Department.
Okay, so I understand we have some new people in this, so I want to start off by first introducing myself. I'm Officer Al Brown. I'm the District 2 Neighborhood Officer for the communities of Madisonville and Linwood. And for the new listeners and attendees, my number is 979-4429. It rings right on my desk. So, okay, I got back here. So for the last 28 rolling days here, just before I get started, I want to take a moment just to introduce, we have a new captain and commander here. It's Captain Danita Pettis, and I want to give her the floor first and let her introduce herself, and if she's got anything to say, she can go from there.
Thank you, Al. Just to give a brief introduction, because I don't want to take up a whole lot of time, but my name is Danita Pettis. I am the newly assigned captain here at District 2. I've been here since January the 10th, which was this past Sunday, was my first day. So I'm very excited to be assigned to District 2. This actually is my first district as a brand new captain. I am a 22-year veteran of the Cincinnati Police Department. I've worked in districts 1, 3, 4, worked all over the city, and actually District 2 was the first district that I worked in when I was first promoted to sergeant. So I have a good working knowledge of District 2 and the geographical area, the 14 neighborhoods that make up the District 2 community. And I don't want to take up a whole lot of time, but if anyone has any specific questions that they would like to direct to me, I'd be more than happy to answer those. I will give you my contact numbers, my office number. I'll give you a second to grab a pen or pencil. My office number is 513-979-4444, and that's my direct line office number. And then my cell number is 513-509-4014. That's my cell phone number. So you should always be able to have direct access to me either through my office line or my cell phone. I was assigned to the Special Services section just before being assigned to District 2. And in the Special Services section, I was in charge of the traffic unit, the K-9 unit, pivot unit, the mountain bike squad, and also the gun crimes task force and gang unit. So I do have a good working knowledge of support units and how they augment patrol functions in the districts. So I'm hoping to be able to tap into a lot of my contacts from those previous assignments that I've had. And anytime you guys need to reach out and get a hold of me with issues or concerns, please feel free to do that. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Al Brown, unless anyone has any questions.
Someone asked for your email. Contact information in the chat in just a moment.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Did you use your email?
Yeah, it's Danita. It's D like David, A-N as in Nancy, I like Ida, T-A, dot Pettis, P like Peter, E like Edward, T-Tom, I like Ida, S like Sam, at Cincinnati-OH.gov.
Thank you.
And I can actually just send that out as a message on the chat, so it'll be recorded.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amanda, were there any questions?
No, those are congratulations on Facebook.
Thank you.
We reserve the right to come back to you, though.
Okay. I figured you would.
I'm going to turn it over to Officer Brown.
Okay, so for the last 28-day rolling period, we had 1 rape, 8 theft from autos, 4 personal and/or other thefts, and 2 auto thefts. And if anyone wants to know a little bit more in detail, so I don't take up all the meeting as well, please feel free to give me a call at 979-4429, and I can give you a little bit more information to the best of my liberties.
You gotta ask for those things in terms of.
We can't type that fast, Officer Brown. 979, it's 4429, correct?
Yes, correct.
Without looking at my phone. Okay.
Also from $100.
We do have a question for you. Is there any information on the arson at Agape?
Okay, so the information that I've received at this point, so the owner apparently just started between one of her siblings and someone picking on him. So it was kind of a thing going back and forth from what I understand. And I think from what the information that I've received was that there was some kind of fist fight and the other party decided, and we're not real clear on who the other suspects are. We are, but I think there's a problem with proving their participation. But I guess in the wee hours of the morning, as a form of getting even, someone threw something that ignited fire inside the establishment.
Keep us posted on any of that information.
Okay. The arson investigators are actually looking into it, and there's actually like a $5,000 reward for any information leading to a conviction.
Okay. Any other questions online, Amanda?
No.
Okay. All right. We will be posting, Crime and Safety Committee meeting is next Wednesday at 6:30. So we'll be posting that information. So if anybody would like to join us there, please feel free. We'll have the Zoom information. It'll be a Zoom, of course. We'll have the Zoom information out there this weekend. I appreciate both of your time. Thank you, Officer Brown. Always good to see you. Welcome and congratulations, Captain Pettis. We look forward to you both joining us in the future. At some point, we hope to be back in person.
Thank you.
June-ish. We'll see. But thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. I know Ms. Knox was unsure if she's going to be able to attend. I don't see her on this evening. She did let me know that they are anxious, as always, for the kids to come back. They're getting everything ready, getting everything cleaned up. They are still doing pickup for school supplies and lunches on Wednesdays. We'll have that information out there on the Facebook page as well. If there are any questions, you feel free always to reach out to John P. Parker for additional information. I do not see Miss Wilder from Schroeder, but this evening we do have from Citizens of the World Academy, we do have Ms. Vanity. Real quick, Ms. Vanity, do we have any, let me spotlight you, any updates this evening?
Yes, ma'am, we have a couple. So exciting things are happening with our building reconstruction. The rotunda should be open soon. So we hope to be able to welcome people there, socially distanced, of course. Our application for students is also live. You can go to cwccincinnati.org if you want to find out more information about the school and apply. We also have all of our jobs posted there. So we're hiring for teachers and a couple of other positions. So you can also go to the website to find out more information about that. And we have a principal who has started that we are just very, very excited about. And so she is here tonight just to introduce herself to the community. So I am going to pass it to Dr. Amy.
Dr. Amy, welcome.
Hi, thank you all for letting me take a few minutes and introduce myself. I'm really excited to be here. I put together just a short presentation to talk a little bit about myself and why I am so excited about this opportunity, and then share some things that we're going to do for kids in the community in February, and would love to take any of your questions. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Hope I share the right one. Too many things up here. There we go. So just quick about me. My name is Amy Kraus. I am a parent of 3 teenagers. I parent athletes and a musician. We like to have fun. I have been married for 27 years, coming up on 28 years. We love to travel as a family. And our happy place is on Lake Michigan. So there's a little picture of us there. So it's a little bit about who I am as a person. And from a professional standpoint, I've worked in lots of different places. I've been in Illinois, I've been in North Carolina before I came back here in Ohio. I have worked in West Claremont, Princeton, and Loveland here locally. I've been a teacher. I've been a curriculum director. I've been a building administrator. I've been a professor at UC and a superintendent. So I've worn lots of hats. But for me, it's always been about the relationships. I was able to get both of my advanced degrees from UC, and you can see a picture of me here. I got to graduate with some of my best friends that I met during cohort and study at UC. And this young lady here up in the left-hand corner, her name is Telma, and she was in my very first class that I ever taught. We still stay in touch. And here I am talking just last year to one of my students at Loveland. It's always about the kids for me. It's always about relationships, and the mission for CWC really speaks to my heart. To realize human potential by strengthening the bonds among us has just been a line that has run through my whole career. So this, the model here with CWC really spoke to me and drew me to my mission. I am excited to be a part of this. My why is really about developing young leaders, making sure that we enable students to be what they want to be, to change the world, to influence the world in better ways, to be trailblazers and leaders, to tackle what we're dealing with currently and how they might lead all of us into the future. All of the underpinnings of CWC really speak to me and why I want to be a part of this. It was a big leap of faith for me to leave the district work to come to do this, but the more I engaged with CWC, the more passionate I felt about their core values and what we might be able to do and think differently and reimagine schools with the community of Madisonville. So I couldn't be more excited to get started. This is just week 3 for me. So I am thrilled to be a part of it and anxious to get to know more of you and really think about how CWC might be a great choice for Madisonville families. And then last, I have an invitation for you for offering some free learning opportunities. We're calling it Play Dates with the Principal, giving chances for some students, some children, grades or ages 4 through 7, younger students in and around the community. You don't have to be interested necessarily in coming to our school. It's just an opportunity to come and learn together and laugh and find joy in learning. It'll be outside, so dress for the weather. And you might get dirty. We'll wear masks and stay separate. Obviously, stay home if you're not feeling well, but we would love to have the opportunity every Saturday in February from 1 to 1:45 just to get to do some fun things on our property and to do some learning together. So we'll get this flyer out into the hands of our preschools and daycares in the area, and we'll get it up on our Facebook page. But wanted to share that here with a captive audience to come visit me and play on Saturday afternoons. So that should be fun. So again, thank you for some time just to introduce myself and tell you who I am and why I'm really excited about this. Be happy to put my contact information in the chat box when we're done or when I'm done talking, and then I can answer any questions.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Did we have any questions? Amanda, do we have any questions in the online? I don't see any in the chat or in the Q&A.
I do not have anything on Facebook. We do have something that just came in from Robert on the Q&A. So he'd like to know, I think this was a question actually asked in December's meeting as well, maybe. Will you be adding any grades?
Yes, so we're going to start with kindergarten and first this fall, and then we will add a grade until we're at sixth grade. So we'll be a K-6 school when we are fully resourced.
Thank you. Any other questions online or in the chat?
No.
All right. Well, thank you both for joining us. I'm going to hope for snow in February, so I hope that doesn't thwart your plans. I literally have asked for snow every Saturday in February, so apologies in advance.
Dress for the weather, Kate. We love to be outside.
All right, ladies, thank you for joining us. With that, I'm going to turn it over to, where did Terry go? There he is. Sorry, Terry, I couldn't find you. I'm going to turn it over to Terry with Cincinnati and Hamilton County Public Library, our awesome Madisonville branch. Hey, Terry.
Hey, thanks for having me. I don't have a nice presentation, so I don't know how I follow that, but I do have some props. I have my Ghostbuster character here. You see Slimer. There you go. But yeah, so we got a few updates for the library. The first thing, we've got a really cool upcoming series, informative online series program. We partnered with Cradle Cincinnati Connections for Black Maternity Matters series. And the series programs focus on breastfeeding in the Black community, safe sleep, infant CPR, healthy eating, roundtable discussions, really exploring the mental health stigmas surrounding Black motherhood. Obviously, I have no knowledge of that whatsoever, but we're bringing in the community partners, and these are all virtually Zoom-based events, and all the attendees will be entered in for drawing. So when some prizes such as maternity books, maternity clothes, and a pack and play. So really excited. Hopefully we can get a good turnout for that. And I know I sent Amanda all the details with the specific events and dates, so feel free and access that later in the Google Drive, or you are welcome to reach out to us directly, and we can help you out with that. We also have, this will be the second winter checkout challenge, and which is starting now and goes through February 28th, so the end of the month, and is really geared towards adults 18 and older. So we all know what summer reading is, and it's geared towards youth and to really engage them. But this is to really engage our adult customers and really engage them during the winter months where, we're all kind of hunkered in our homes, reading books, watching movies, and, doing. So we really want to engage with the library so they could do things such as attend a virtual event like one of the Black Maternity Matters series, read a book, watch a movie. And the idea is for them to really complete 5 of those activities throughout the month. And then by the end, they can turn in their card online or in person, and they would be entered in for drawing. So like a Kindle Fire, they could win Cincinnati Zoo tickets, gift cards, and more. So really excited. Everybody gets a free bag. I think we can all agree we can never have too many bags. Unless you're a hoarder, then you might disagree with that. But yeah, everybody at least gets something to really encourage people to just get involved with the library during the winter. So you can register online or in person at the library again. And then Amanda has that additional information. And then finally, just wanted to mention the library here at Madisonville, we're implementing a new position. It's a monitor and mentor position. So we're really looking at transforming our current kind of security setup that we have here at Madisonville and focus more on a restorative practice. So we're looking at hiring a monitor mentor during after school hours. And the objective is for them to really help navigate that after school crowd, engage with them, possibly help them with homework, and really just offer that mentorship that many of our youth need after school. So really excited about it. An ideal candidate obviously would be a teacher, considering it's after school hours, or maybe a social worker, but really could be anybody that really knows the kids here in Madisonville and is invested in the community. So really excited about it. The deadline did expire, but I did extend it for another week. So people have until tomorrow to apply. You're welcome to reach out to me directly at 513-665-2829 if you have any specific questions, or you can always call or stop by the library and we can answer any of those questions you might have. So, but that is about it. Does anybody have any specific questions? I would like to also add, Price Hill has a lot of their community organizations doing the winter checkout challenge, competing against each other. And I thought, well, why isn't Madisonville doing? I feel like we can do more. I think it'd be great if we can get a lot of our organizations to participate together. Because obviously our kids learn through us. And if they see us reading, checking out books, they're likely to follow suit. So, but yeah, sorry, Kate, that's it.
Oh, no, I literally want to know if we can backdate this because I literally just requested the entire Bridgerton series. So does that count? Just asking.
Have you watched it yet?
Of course I did.
You've been, okay. No, but you know what? You can rewatch it. How about that?
No, I mean, I read the books.
Oh, you read the book?
I checked out all the books. So does that count if we do the checkout challenge? Can we backdate the beginning of January?
No. Well, it started January 19th. So have you finished it within the last couple of days?
No, I still got 3 to go. We'll talk.
Oh, so, yeah. We'll
and
talk.
you know we love our challenges. So I can already see Brian Cervisi with the CRC wheels churning. Alicia's giving me a thumbs up. Kathy's just smirking because she just knows where this is going. So challenge accepted.
Okay, it's good to know. Any questions or?
We do have a question on Facebook from Gail. She is inquiring about what the status of the new Madisonville library is and where it will be housed. Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, so obviously I mentioned last week, so the new Madisonville branch, we're going to be relocating to the first floor of the phase 3 of Madison and Wetzel, and it'll be on the Prentice Wetzel corner is where we will be housed. I know the library signed the lease, was it last month, I believe, but the specifics really haven't been released. So I'm not in a position to share that just yet, but we will be, I think the tentative date is looking like late spring to summer 2022. So we'll still be in our current space now for the time being. But does that answer your question? I wish I had an exact date, but you know how these things go.
I think that's probably good. Thank you.
Any other questions? All righty. Well, thank you, Terry.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Always good to see you. Again, they're looking for help at the library. So if you know anybody that's interested, send them Terry's way. All righty. For President's Report, got a couple of staff changes. It sounds cool when you say staff changes. We've brought on Kerry Devry. He's going to be taking over the role of Transportation Chair. We'll have him introduce himself here in a little bit. Wellen Wilkerson is going to be transitioning over to Crime and Safety. As many of you know, Wendy stepped down last month to fulfill her role in her new position as a judge. Hi, Wendy. I saw you joined us today. So Wellen is going to be transitioning and taking over that position. So he'll be hosting his first committee meeting next week. Carrie is going to be posting when his new transportation committee meetings will be here within the next week or two. In terms of, I've got a couple of Madisonville and Wetzel updates. We received the parking study late yesterday, came back from economic development. What we actually received, unfortunately, was not a parking study. It was actually a parking inventory. So it speaks to what's already in the code, which we knew, because they wouldn't have been able to obtain the permits unless they adhere to the code. For the community, the question was always, does the parking suffice for the change in environment? Taking into considering factors like the homes that don't have parking currently in front of them, the new tenants that are moving into the apartments with more than one vehicle. So when we had asked for the parking study, we wanted it to reflect the real life scenarios, not the textbook case. So we will be reaching back out to the city for further clarification. So we'll go from there. We unfortunately received word last Saturday that the Family Dollar is going to be leaving their space. This was not only surprising because they're currently in a long-term contract with the city, but it's a huge blow to the community. I mean, right now, with the way the pandemic has hit so many people in the neighborhood who are hesitant to go to large stores, it was a wonderful option for people already in the neighborhood that were shopping there, people without cars, people that just didn't want to face big box shopping. So I've reached out to Family Dollar's corporate offices for further clarification, just to see if they have any additional plans, some more information. We've been told a March closing date. So as soon as I have more information, I will let you know. In the interim, if you have any questions specific to Family Dollar, we'd ask that you reach out to the Ackerman Group, who is actually the management company for the Madisonville Retail Center. But the one thing that we do want everyone in the community to know, we had already previously been working on some additional plans for bringing fresh produce, but please know that the Community Council, MKirk, as well as some of our additional community partners, we're going to be working to bring some alternative access to food and some additional products in the coming months. So we'll keep you posted as we bring those offerings on board. Like I said, it's a huge blow, and we're still trying to wade through what this impact and what this is going to mean to the entire community. In terms of city happenings, Councilman Mann's going to be joining us next month. For those of you who have been following the TIF policy on affordable housing, it's going to be a great opportunity to ask questions about that. And I do want to personally thank OTR's Community Council leadership. They have been working on bringing equitable development to their neighborhood. And so we've been kind of following what they've been going through. And it goes out the saying that being in any type of community council position is a hard job. You get hit with a barrage of battles daily. And they're always fighting the good fight. They're always looking out for those that can't necessarily fight for themselves or don't know how to. So thank you to not only their community council, but all the community councils that are out here doing the work. I see a question, April, do we know why the Family Dollar is leaving? I've gotten 3 different stories from 3 different people, which is why I've reached out to corporate. That's all I can tell you at this point. Bob, for your question about, it was unclear, did the parking study say we need more parking? The parking study said that based on the code, which is textbook, it's appropriate for code, which is unfortunately not the reason why we asked for the parking study. The code in terms of parking was taking into account parking spaces that are in front of people's houses that currently don't have parking. It doesn't take into account all of those real life scenarios. There are people with 2 cars in a family in the new development that are parking on the street. It's not accounting for that. It's not accounting for any proposed retail space, which is typically what a parking study accounts for. I'm not qualified to answer this question. Alicia, This is when I yell at you. Alicia's actually done parking studies in her past life for several cities in the tri-state. Can you explain what a parking study is as opposed to parking inventory for me?
Oh, of course. So a parking study, first off, to say whether it's an inventory or an actual parking study, to say it meets code, I think that's kind of a given, or they wouldn't have permits and they wouldn't be building anything yet. Generally, code has parking requirements, whether it be off street or on street, that they need to meet to obtain their permits to construct their development. Normally, a parking study goes far above and beyond a basic inventory. It's going to identify parking spots that are current. It's going to identify parking spots that are problematic. So there are times where you have parking spots that are not adequate parking spots. You can't park in them. They're unsafe. They're not large enough. They're not clearly marked. You also identify like any of your disabled parking locations. You identify parking spots that don't exist that could exist. From there, you also look at potential parking. So you're evaluating your current inventory, you're finding your problems, you're noting those, you create maps, you have several like suggestions, and you can generally kind of find where your shortfalls might be. You're never accounting for parking at capacity. So your busiest day, you should have a parking problem. You're not going to have your busiest day ever every single day of the week. You know, it's not Bourbon Street. You know, it's not a constant party. So you want to make sure that you're accounting for parking on a normal day and to make sure that your residents can safely park and get to their houses. And you had noted the houses that don't have driveways. And of course, those are always a concern because you want to make sure that the individuals that own those properties feel safe and comfortable getting into their homes, and they're not being put at risk or have challenges for individuals that may have accessibility issues that live in those properties. So, I mean, it's far more extensive than an inventory, which Councilman Landsman, when we spoke to him, he wasn't really aware of how a parking study looked. So we had sent him fairly at-length description of like, this is kind of how you do the parking study. These are the expectations, the deliverables you should have. And, you know, this is kind of the time frame it normally takes to do something like this on the scale of what Madisonville needed. I didn't anticipate necessarily a parking need like the community had maybe thought there would be, but you know, it's still, you can't argue one way or the other unless you actually see the study. So that's been kind of disappointing to get an inventory, which I think kind of we already had. I believe that the owner of Stylish Lanise for the business chamber, Shante, had done the same thing already. So I'm not really sure what happened there. And I think it got remanded back to a committee. Like, I don't even think it actually like passed muster today. So that's probably because somebody else found fault with the study not being adequate.
Thanks, Alicia. Like I said, we're going to be going back to the city asking for further clarification. The parking inventory that was given is still taking into account non-existent parking. For instance, on Sierra in between Ravenna and Wetzel. If anybody's ever driven Sierra in between Prentice and Wetzel, you can't park a car there, but it says there's 10 parking spaces there. So we are going to be pushing back on that again. Were there any other questions, Amanda, that I missed? Hi, Wendy. Wendy said hello and Happy New Year to everyone. Oh.
There was one on Facebook from Leslie going back to the Family Dollar. She was wondering if you could share the 3 different stories you heard.
I'm actually going to say no, because I don't want to give information that will get people riled up if it's misinformation, which is why I reached out to corporate to confirm exactly their reason why they're leaving. From experience, typically when a store leaves, it's because they're either looking at divesting themselves of their property, sales are down, things of that nature. But again, without speaking to corporate, I don't know that that's the case. I don't know the terms of their lease. I've reached out to the city and asked for some further clarification just in terms of what the expectation was. I think because from the onset for this neighborhood, it was kind of always understood that store was here to stay. The Braxton Clan Clinic was going to be here to stay, that we were trying to retain our tenants. So at this point, we want to clarify and if there's any misinformation, if there's anything as a community we can do. In the interim, I would just ask that we continue to support our Family Dollar. We continue to support the folks that are working there, that not only work there, but in some cases live in the neighborhood, and we show them that they're appreciated, because they are. I'm in Family Dollar several times throughout the year. It's a great little store for those things you don't realize you need until you absolutely need them, and you need them in 5 minutes. Like I said, for a lot of people in the neighborhood, it's their grocery store. It's their place of fellowship. It's part of the community, and we need to continue to treat them as such. So. Any other questions out there? Okay, we actually don't have any committee reports. None of our committees met over the holidays, which is perfectly understandable. Everybody typically takes December off to regroup. We had a great planning session at our last board meeting to kind of talk through coming events. So here this weekend, we'll have Amanda release our placeholder events, what's going to be coming up in the months to come, along with our committee dates and times. If you see an event that you want to help out with, that you want to know more about, or a committee you're interested in getting engaged in, please join us. We're going to be meeting via Zoom with all of our committee meetings until further notice, until the governor says it's safe to meet in more than groups of 10. We've got some pretty cool, interesting things happening, even with social distancing, that we've taken some tips from other communities that we can get done in the interim to get information out, to get programming out to our community. So we're looking forward to doing that. Because we're purple, it's a great segue to go into I Heart Madisonville Day, which typically happens the second Saturday in February. Because we're purple, the committee met last evening. We made the decision to push I Heart Madisonville Day to a slightly warmer month. So we're shooting for April 10th. Hopefully by mid-April, we will be out of the purple zone. We'll be in a little bit better space for potentially being able to meet out with some social distancing. We're going to have some really cool activities and things to get people engaged, to not only support our small businesses, but also to support each other, to support our nonprofits. And it'll be a little bit warmer with doing it in April. So hopefully we won't be freezing. Now that I've said this, it's probably going to snow 6 feet that day. So we're looking forward to that. If you're interested in joining the committee to help out, we'll have those committee meetings posted as well this weekend. I am going to go ahead and give Carrie Devery the floor. So Carrie can introduce himself. Carrie is our new transportation chair. Little segue, you may know Carrie from his thought-provoking, informative post on Nextdoor. He brings a wealth of knowledge to the role, and we are excited to have him. Floor is yours, sir.
Oh no, you told me I have a reputation. That's kind of dangerous. No, I moved here in Madisonville 2 years ago, and I'm originally from the Columbus area, but
Don't hold it against you.
so I'm not a bad, but I have successfully exported Geta to all my friends and family. So, and I do like Skyline, okay? So I am mostly Cincinnati now. I moved here in 2013 after an 8-year stint in the Army, and went to UC full time, and decided that Cincinnati is really a fantastic, interesting town, way more interesting than Columbus. So decided to stick around, and I work downtown, found a great employer. I've been working from home since March though, so it's giving me more time to kind of walk around the neighborhood, or take my dog for a walk, and you kind of just see how the interactions are more often that way, and how people work around in the neighborhood. And so kind of gives you appreciation for what other people have to go through traveling around the neighborhood, in and out of the neighborhood. So I do have one announcement. SORTA, as you all probably know, their funding structure has been completely changed this year. And so kind of the way when issue 7 got passed, it didn't actually take effect until October 1st of last year. And there's a 3-month delay in the accumulation and distribution of the sales tax in the state of Ohio. So they're just now, we voted on this what feels like forever ago, and they're just now getting those funds January 1st of this year. And so a lot of the changes that they promised are going to take a minute, because for them to increase frequency, they got to buy buses. They've got to hire bus drivers, and they have to train those bus drivers. That's going to take some time. The good news is that their major routes, which includes our Route 11, it will run more often. So that means this summer, Route 11 will be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the frequency will stay the same, but it'll run all day long, even on weekends. So people have a little bit more options for being able to get around. The frequency thing, like I said, they're gonna have to buy more buses to be able to increase that frequency, but Route 11 is one of those routes that will have increased frequency probably next year. Some other big changes, they are gonna buy more benches and more shelters. But again, they've got to put those bids out, and they got to purchase those and receive those items before they can distribute them. But I'll be emailing sort of to find out, where are our busiest stops. That way we can make sure that kind of keep them honest and make sure that they, if they're going to go buy some nice more equipment for the stops, it'd be great to have that in our neighborhood as well for some of our heavier stops. They're looking at changing the route numbers, which is also important for us, because Route 11, there's like 3 versions of it. And that can get kind of confusing, especially if you're in a rush and you aren't paying attention. You might get on the wrong bus and go in the wrong direction coming home. So that's also, again, probably not for another year, but it's good to know that they're being active, and it seems like the people there are really interested in trying to provide better service for everyone. Route 11 is not the only one that's getting upgrades. It's just the only one that affects our neighborhood directly. So they're having meetings on all their major routes that are getting these upgrades this year. So you can find that on their Facebook page or their YouTube channel, or you can contact us at transportation@rmasimo.com, and we can work together and try to get better bus service.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie. Were there any questions online or in the chat for Carrie?
Nope.
You're off the hook for the first meeting. All right. Thanks, Carrie. Make sure for everyone to come and support him at his first meeting. We'd like to have at least 50 to 60 people. Really break Carrie into working in volunteerism. We'll get all that information posted, like I said, in terms of committee meetings and the projects coming up. With that, I'm going to turn it over to agency announcements. Starting off with Artsville, Ms. Kathy, you are on the spot.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Let me just start with, if you haven't looked at Artsville in the last few days, you're going to see the signs that have been kind of blank for the last several years are starting to light up again. That's a project that we've been working on for, God, probably 2 years now, and at least a year and a half with the city. But we are in process, and they've got to come back, and one of the ends on one of the cords was frayed. So we've got to get that fixed so that we can mirror the signs. But they are up and they are going to be functional. So keep an eye on those signs for a lot of good things coming up in Artsville. February 19th through the 21st, we are partnering with Playhouse in the Park to do Snowy Days. There's a link on Facebook on Artsville where you can go in and sign up and reserve your date and time to watch. We have 150 slots for Artsville, so please get your reservation in for that. We are also trying to work with Kappa again this year on our film camp. We'll probably be looking at a couple of scholarships for that, and we're trying to determine if, in fact, we can do that in a very safe manner. Hopefully by that time in July that we won't have to worry about this stuff, but we'll see. We're also working on a couple of other camps again, but we want to do them all safely if this COVID continues. We are looking for community youth who are interested in the arts. We'd like to kind of get them engaged to do some live streaming with us, possibly some PSAs and some other things. And so if anybody knows of any youth who are interested, please let me know. We also want to thank everybody. I don't know if I've done this before or not in this group, for the participation with the holiday boxes that were distributed in December. We put out over 200 holiday boxes with the support of the council, MKirk, PLK, Red Dog, MedPace, a number of the community organizations, the Business Chamber, to help us do that. The kids love them, absolutely love them. We've gotten some wonderful feedback. So because we couldn't do stockings with Santa, we chose to do something different, and it worked beautifully. So we're excited about that one and happy that that occurred. We are also looking maybe to do some small events in the building. I'm working with the health department to try and determine what I can and cannot do safely. We've kind of been given a go-ahead on some small groups, and so we're looking at doing some very small not private, but very small events just to keep us going in the building and to let people know that we are there. So keep an eye on things, keep an eye on those signs in the sky, and watch for good news and some other things coming out of Artsville. We're also working with MKirk too, I forgot about that, and Artworks to do a couple of art projects in the community. So again, keep an eye on those things, and we are staying busy. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Did you have a weed and seed update today?
No, I don't, hon.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Jill with the Children's Home.
Oops.
Maybe.
All right, I think I'm unmuted.
And then I lost you. Where'd you go, Jill?
I don't know. No, it's because I'm in my office, so it's showing up on my thing, my one screen, and not on where my camera is. Good evening, everybody. I'm like, let me grab my notes from over here on my desk. It's been a long day. But we're all back from winter break, so our students are all back in person. We've continued to be in person all school year, and I've been very lucky from that perspective. Our preschool and school age programs are still running. So I know CPS has their plan for going back to school. We do have openings in preschool, and if families are in need of school age care as kids begin to go back on hybrid models, etc., they can reach out to us at 272-2800 to get more information about those programs. And also, I just wanted to remind everyone that we do have the Levine Family Health Center on our campus. It's on the back at the Duck Creek entrance. It's a Cincinnati Health Department health center. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30. They're open to the community as well as the students are on our campus and across the street at Schroeder. I think that's all of the big things happening right now.
Okay. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back. And we'll get the information posted out there for if anybody's looking for preschool.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Joe. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brian with the CRC. Hey, Brian.
How are you? Okay, so everything's going like it's been going. Nothing really much changed. We still have kids that are doing their school day enrichment, so they're coming here instead of going to school. They're doing their schoolwork here. Our Wi-Fi was updated a couple months ago. It's been running real well. We haven't had any issues on that aspect. We are open for business 7 to 7, Monday through Friday. Our weight room is starting to get a few more people in. Looking at what we're going to do in the spring and summer when things open back up, trying to do some more outdoor programming, looking to do some virtual programming. But right now, it's as long as we have the kids here from 7 to 6, it's a little hard to have my staff in 2 places at once right now. They are acting as teachers, so that's a new role for them, and they much are looking forward to getting back to doing recreation programming. Other than that, everything's good, and if nobody has anything, that's all I got.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Alan with Groundworks. Hey, Alan.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Oh, there you
Awesome. Well, not a whole lot going on with us during the winter months and with COVID and everything. We are eagerly awaiting CPS to start up. Hopefully that will be safe and good in February. Fingers crossed about that. And that will kind of kick off our spring programming, which will be pretty eventful, considering it'll be the first real spring we'll have had at the greenhouse there at the Green Learning Center at Ward. And then hopefully we'll be starting off our farm stand once the plants and garden beds get kicked off in the spring. So really we're kind of in a planning mode right now and getting ready for an eventful spring. Fingers crossed.
Awesome.
That's about all we got right
now. All right. Thanks, Alan. Keep us posted.
Will do.
All right, thanks. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Terry for Business Chamber update. Maybe. Terry, can you hear me?
Yes, and we don't have an update tonight.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Terry. Alicia with MKirk.
Hello. Again, welcome to 2021. It's got to be better than last year, right? I wanted to say a quick thank you. MKirk is very appreciative to everyone in the community. So many community partners stepped up to help us with the Senior Resource Toolkit, the library, the CRC, Braxton Can, Madison Villa, Ann Boland, our Warrioress volunteer that we love so much. She helped out. Community Council showed up to help stuff bags. I think that just everybody kind of joined together to make sure that our aging community members aren't feeling left out and they're getting the resources they need. And of course, I want to thank our sponsor, 55 North. That project has seemingly done great things, and it was a small effort, and we hope that we can expand on that this year. But just knowing that everybody was really willing to chip in means a lot. So we're getting some good feedback, and we'll adjust and make more changes for next year. Much like everybody else, we are in planning mode. I think that just kind of comes with wrapping up year end and getting ready for the next year. Last year was all about pivoting. I think if I heard that word one more time, I was gonna walk right off a cliff. We've all pivoted, and now we're here, and now we get to be really creative. This is a great thing. Like, we know we're stuck in this kind of cruddy situation, right? So we're all working to be very creative in our efforts to make sure we're still meeting the needs of our community. This year, I feel like we're going to collaborate even more with our partners. So Kate, you had mentioned that we were working on the farmers market. So yes, that's going to be, we got a meeting with Groundworks, Community Council, and myself next week to kick that off. We got funding from Macy's Foundation at the end of last year for this year, and that funding is going to help support the farmers market and the youth employment program. Hopefully we can hire several youths working with Miss Tony Tanks and the Youth Council to make sure we get some young people in our community and give them an opportunity to not only earn a little bit of money, but also get the experience they need that could help them with college applications or just with finding their next job. We are working on our next round of housing videos. So last Saturday, it was a very long work day for me. And I am sorry, Kate, because I called you and drug you into my spiral of creative planning. Our housing forum videos. So we've done several. I think they were very helpful. That information's still out there. And of course, as we get new information about housing security with COVID, we'll keep putting that information out. We're going to start changing it up a little bit. So right now we are working on a video, and Kate is going to be putting me in touch with the housing chair. Hopefully we can start working on how this is going to happen. But we are going to have a video that works on kind of like your housing maintenance. What's your checklist that you should be doing, on a quarterly, monthly, 6-month, annual, 5 years, and have a video that kind of goes over that, because that's kind of a thing that when you're a new homeowner, I know I didn't know some of the things I was supposed to do. It's a really cool thing to have access to. And hopefully that's something that our community members here in Madisonville can love, but also across Cincinnati. We also have some other great ideas. We're going to be in touch with the landscape architect in Madisonville. We want to do some guerrilla videos, like some guerrilla marketing on landscape hacks. Maybe get an arborist to show up and talk to us about how to save that tree that you love, but it's starting to look real gnarly. We were also talking about how we need to include our rental community members. Our renters that are here are every bit a part of our community, and we don't want to leave them out when we do these videos. So it was actually Kate Bodos's idea, and I thought it was brilliant to do space saving. Like, we're going to find ourselves a professional organizer to help us do some like space saving short guerrilla video hacks. So these things are going to be coming at you. We also are still working, as Miss Kathy said when she was discussing Artsville, we're working on the public arts planning process. We've also been contacted by Ackerman Group. They have some public arts components, which I'm sure they're going to talk to you about, but we tried to give some feedback for that, and we're going to try to be useful and a support system in that effort. Last but not least, welcome to Kerry Devery. I have had the opportunity to work with him over like the last 6 months or so in like some different situations. He is a well-versed individual, and I'm excited to work with him. Myself, Kerry, and Community Council President Kate Bodos are meeting to discuss transportation opportunities. There's a grant that we're going to be looking at that's going to support hopefully both Little Duck Creek Trail and some transportation walkability needs of the community. We're going to try to tether all this in together and hopefully get us a big chunk of change. These would be like improvements that would really, I think, have a large impact on our ability to get people that aren't in our neighborhood business district to the neighborhood business district, and also get people out and about and into our nature and green space. So if anybody has questions, let me know. Otherwise, thank you. And I'm looking forward to an awesome year with you guys here in Madisonville.
I forgot to unmute myself. Thanks, Alicia. All right, thanks everybody for the agency announcements. Amanda, were there any questions for any of our agencies? I forgot to ask that the entire time. I apologize. Are there any
No
questions?
worries. Nope, everybody's off the hook.
Okay. For now. All right, with that, we're going to move into old business. We've got an update long awaited from Nick with PLK for the Jameson at the corner of Madison and Stewart.
Thank you, Kate. And I'm going to pop this up real quick if I can. Perfect. And, oh, there we are. Got it. Cool. Sorry about that, guys. So I wanted to go ahead and just give everybody a quick update and share some images. If you can't see them, please let me know. But just to give you all an idea, many of you have seen the clubhouse is complete. So I wanted to share some photos. The furniture's going in this week, and this is pre-cleaning for all that. So in punch up about a month ago. I apologize. I missed November, December. I got sick and I was out for quite a few weeks. And anyway, I'm back now feeling a lot better. But this is the new entrance and then some of the rooms. So if you had historically taken a tour with us, a lot of these walls upstairs where you see the old brick and the old beams have been covered by plaster over the years. So we were able to uncover a bunch of those, uncover some of the original beams from the 1830s, and just create a really nice open space here. So what we wanted to do is at all times when you walk in the home, know one, from a design standpoint, know that you're in Madisonville. So we've tried to incorporate photos of Madisonville throughout the project, inside the clubhouse as well in various areas. And then also know that you are in a historic home. So while we did not take federal dollars to restore this, we were able to do what we feel is hopefully a aesthetically pleasing project for everyone. So these had some of the original windows here. If you come out down the Stewart side, these are the glass doors that you see on both sides. This was part of the original kitchen. So this is upstairs on the second floor. There used to be 2 bedrooms and there was actually a staircase in the middle of this. We took the staircase out. These are all the original beams that were pulled from the site when the property was built. Many of these actually go all the way out to the porch and fully support the whole structure. So what we were able to do in this area, because it originally had about 7.5-foot ceilings, was uncover these and give it a much nicer vaulted look. These are actually all of the original floors from the home. So we were able to take many of the original floors and put them together on one floor. And then the first floor, we ended up just adding newer floors to help match all that. So again, some other rooms we have, the original entrance off, Madison Road. This is the main staircase going upstairs, one of the original parlor rooms that they had. And again, we just tried to bring a lot of it back to what it historically was. I also wanted to show everybody what the inside of the units look like. So I'll give you a little bit of timing update in a minute, but most of the units are coming along well. At the moment, we're just waiting on Duke. So once Duke gets in here and the appliances, we've had 2 main delays right now. We don't have the utilities hooked up. They are finished on our site, but they are not hooked up onto the main roads. Duke is still telling us they're about 30 to 45 days out. What we've done in these, we wanted to make sure these features are nice features. They have a nice high-end look. So backsplashes are quartz to match the countertops. We tried to take that all the way up. We did black on black windows. So you have a higher-end black window, feature walls in the master bedrooms, just a nice look overall. This is actually one of the units out on Madison Road. The flooring is in, it's just not down yet. We don't want to put that in until the electric is hooked up, but you can see you've got a nice double French doors on both sides of the room, and just we're really pleased with the way the product is coming out. So a few more photos. We were able to get a different bathroom. You can actually see here. We wanted to make sure that the handles. We tried to think about how you would want to live if you were in this space, or anybody would. So what we wanted to do there was make sure you don't get cold turning on the water. Just small touches. We were able to work with the Marriott to get their showers. Those are actually marble shower tiles there. So just overall, really trying hard to make a really nice product. Leasing has been strong. We started hard hat tours about a week ago. I believe we've signed 5 or 6 leases this week already. So that's going good. Leasing office is open 5 days a week. We're closed on Tuesdays and Sundays. Tuesdays are typically our slowest day. Once this site does have tenants, we will be open 6 days a week, but at this point, we're only open 5. March 1st is our scheduled move-in date for our first units. We were hoping to have them in by February 1st, but again, with Duke, there's not a lot we can do there. Same thing on the sidewalks. Until Duke gets those utilities hooked up, we will not be able to put the sidewalks on the Madison Road side. We're anticipating those are about 4 to 6 weeks out right now, but you can actually see how much we have set the sidewalks back from the street. So one of our agreements was to have 5 foot of grass buffer and trees and then the sidewalk, so kids weren't walking to school on the sidewalks on Madison. Fencing has actually been here for about 30 days. They needed to finish the site work. They're telling me this morning that it is going in February 1st is the target date. So we're seeing right now that first week of February is there, and all the underground detention and everything else is now complete too. So the rest of the roads, once the asphalt plants open in the spring, we'll have those in. So with that, I'd be glad to take any questions, and hopefully we can get everybody to the site soon. So.
Thanks, Nick. There are a couple questions. I see Anne had the question, what are the price points to rent and how many affordable units are there?
So we have workforce housing units. There are no subsidized affordable units in the project. Rents start at $940. What I will tell you is those units are already gone. So we actually, we did create some 3 bedrooms. Originally, we had planned to do 2s, and we ended up doing 11 3-bedrooms, and half of those are gone already. So we have seen some nice demand for that, which tells us, you have more families potentially moving in there. So we've been pleased overall, but the units that are leasing the quickest at this point are the smallest and the largest units. So been pleasantly surprised. Across the board, though, it's pretty evenly spread with the units that are renting. So
thanks. Any other questions online or in the chat?
Nope.
That might be the easiest presentation you've ever done, Nick. Anne said 945 and what? I'm guessing what's the high end? I don't want to speak for you, Anne. Are you asking high end? We could actually just, hold on. Anne, bear with us. Allow to talk. And you can.
Yeah,
go
that
ahead.
was,
Yeah, I was like, rather
wasn't
than just going back
typing
and forth.
fast
just
enough.
ask.
Thank you, Kate. I wasn't typing fast enough, one fingered on an iPad. Yeah, I just 945 was the starting point, I assume, for a 1-bedroom, and then just wanted to know what the high end was.
So the most expensive are 3-bedroom units, and I want to say they're 18 to 1900 a month, and they're half gone already. So I don't hold me to that because I'm not on the leasing side, but I believe that is the high end of what they have out there at the moment.
So 945 to about 1800.
Yes.
All right. Thank
and
you.
then, the ADA units are actually some of the first ones we leased as well. All of our first floors are convertible, so we're making sure to make some of those changes too.
And then if I could, Kate, if you would allow me to ask one more question. So I live at St. Paul Village, which is right across the street from, well, not sort of, kind of, but I go up Stewart and cross at Madison Road. So I'm concerned about the sidewalks, since Cincinnati Public Schools are back, or at least are soon going back to school. There are a lot of kids that walk there. You said it's still going to be how long before sidewalks are in, and where is the holdup with the city or what? And that's my last question.
It's Duke, ma'am. So right now, until Duke connects to our site, we can't put those sidewalks down. So I was told that I got our construction team to give me an update because I'm not there every day right now. They said about 4 to 6 weeks. I keep pushing them to open them sooner because I'm like, the kids are going back. We've got to have them there before they're in. I will do everything we can. I just, they're saying 4 to 6 weeks is what I'm being told right now. If we can get them in sooner, we will. But I absolutely understand, and I made that clear to our team as well.
Yeah. And what will happen is they'll work with, I'll let Pam Knox know, she'll work with the crossing guards to make sure that we've got the safety in place for that. You might even see me out there a couple days a week. All right. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. Any other questions online, Amanda?
Nope.
All righty.
Thanks, everybody.
Right. Thanks, Nick, for joining us. Glad you're feeling better. Glad to see you.
Sorry about last month.
It's quite all right. All right. We'll see you soon. All right. With that, I'm going to bring on our other piece of old business is Brian. Hi, Brian. With the Madison Retail Variance Request. We'd actually approved this last month, but there was just a slight little snafu. So
yes, just a small one. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Go ahead.
Awesome. So we got into the design of the signs with Eamon and Gina, and we found out that lettering cannot be higher than 10 inches according to the current code. We do know that zoning has suggested that change in the upcoming kind of overall signage change. So kind of looking at what we're presenting right now for Amani's, and just for reference, these gold letters are 20 inches. So the current code is saying that they'd have to be basically half that size, which would look, at least in my opinion and all of our opinions, kind of dinky on that 7-foot parapet. So yeah, basically we're just asking for a variance allowing the lettering to be over 10 inches. Pretty straightforward, and that's it.
Okay. Bear with me here just 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and put the vote out there. Can I get a motion to amend the variance request for lettering over 10 inches? If I can just see a hand from one of the attendees. Thank you, Mr. Capisser. If I can get a second. I saw Kat's hand up first for a second. We'll open the floor for any discussion or questions. Any questions, Amanda, online or in the chat?
Sorry, I was just trying to catch up on it. No, there are no questions online or in the chat.
Okay. If there are no questions, I will go ahead and put the poll out there for all of our voting members. Variance request to support the internally illuminated signage for the retail spaces at the Madison Retail Center with the option for the lettering over 10 inches. correct, Brian?
Yep.
Okay, and that's for 5810A, 5810B, 5810C, 5810D, 5810E, 5812, and 5818, all Madison Road.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. We'll have that out there for a couple of minutes or until everyone has had a chance to vote. Brian, while we're letting everybody vote, what's the time frame once this gets done? How quickly will we see the signs up, providing everything goes through?
The schedule right now is mid to late April for the signs to actually be up. So we've applied for the variance, and that should be taking place middle of February, and then we'll go into kind of the production of the signs. So hopefully in the spring, when people start walking around the neighborhood, those things will be up.
Okay. All right, we're just waiting on everyone either to vote or abstain. If you're planning on abstaining, if you could, please click the abstain. While we are finishing up the votes, if there's no other old business to bring before the body, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to new business. I'm trying to figure out how to make it, there we go, how to make you stop sharing. Not a problem. So we have 6007 Madison Road, which many of you know as the location for the Civic Garden. There has been a request to purchase that lot that has been brought forth to economic development. And so in response to the lot, and Mark, I may just have you talk to how this came about. The lot has been, is currently out for proposal between the two adjacent property owners. We've got Mark Von Allman here with the City of Cincinnati. I'm going to butcher this explanation, Mark, so I'm just going to make you do it today. That way we don't mess anything up.
Sure, I'm happy to. Good evening, everyone. So the city owns the lot that Kate just mentioned. I believe it was acquired in the late 70s. I'm not sure why the city acquired it. I do understand that it goes back pretty far as functioning as a community garden. There's a chance it may have been acquired for that purpose. That sounds familiar, but I'm not sure. But either way, I know the city has at least been in a lease with the Civic Garden Center dating back to 2010. It's probably dates back further than that, but that's the latest lease that I've seen. So it was functioning as a community garden. The city was then approached by Bill Carroll to purchase the lot. I want to say it was back in 2019, but to be honest, it may have even been further back than that. When Bill approached the city to acquire the lot, we at the time were entertaining a direct sale. Normally, if the city is selling any city-owned land, it's through a request for proposals process. That's dictated by city code. However, this is a very small lot if you're familiar with it. I think it's only like 30 feet wide, 150 feet deep. But we felt it wasn't really a developable piece of land, so that a direct sale was appropriate. Not many people would be interested in acquiring the property. So continued discussions with Bill. The first concern was that, like we said, it was functioning as a community garden. Bill Carroll went ahead and got in touch with the Civic Garden Center and worked on an arrangement where he would help them relocate, and the city in turn kind of in nothing on paper, but the city and Bill and the Community Garden Center are in agreement that the city would then reduce the purchase price in an equal amount to what Bill would end up paying to help relocate the community garden. So all of that took place. Things were coming together for the direct sale. So we started moving towards bringing the sale to City Planning Commission, which again, all city sales do. At that point, Bill had been in touch with some community stakeholders but we had asked that he kind of formally engage with Madisonville Community Council for this go to Planning Commission. And at that point, Kate had recommended to the city that we get in touch with the other neighboring property owner in case she'd like to acquire the property, and we were happy to do so. We did. We spoke with Rakisha Quarles. She also expressed interest in acquiring the property and has since submitted a proposal to the city as well. So at that point, we had two proposals. We're still kind of in this, I'll admit, kind of a one-off, not as structured process as we would if we were doing a request for proposals, but we have two proposals for the city owned land. I discussed with Kate how this might go. So we have them both presenting tonight. And they're going to tell you a little bit about their proposals, take your questions. I'm here to hear your feedback. And then this, as with all land sales, we'll work on bringing a recommended proposal to the City Planning Commission, and then finally City Council, who will also have to approve the land sale. So that's how we got to today. Hopefully that kind of covers it.
Yes, that's way more information that I would have given. I literally would have said we have two people interested in the property and you're going to hear their proposals tonight. So
sorry for both.
No, that's perfect because it sets the stage. So we're going to go ahead and let me actually, Bill, I've got to make you a panelist so you can present. We'll have Bill Carroll present first. People have a chance to ask him any questions, and then we'll have Rakisha Quarles go second, and everyone will have a chance to ask questions as well. Bill, whenever you are ready to present and share your screen, excuse me. Bill?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, are you ready to present?
Yes, I am ready to present. I didn't know I was on mute, Kate. I was saying thanks for the opportunity to present to everyone this evening. And I know Marcus covered a little bit of the history, but let me share my screen. And what do we want to pull up this? Share.
There we go.
Is that up? I apologize. I'm going to have to go back to the home page here, or the beginning. Start video. There we go. Okay. All right. Well, just by way of background, my son Daniel and I formed a small development company back at the end of 18 with the goal of identifying, acquiring, and restore unique properties in Madisonville. And in January of 2019, we purchased our first property, which some of you might be familiar with. It's 612123 Madison Road. It's up the street. And it was in basically a near tear down condition, did a complete renovation and down to the studs, and was able to get the project finished by the middle of the summer. We created 2 new bedroom apartments, a front office. We went ahead and added what we thought were some nice architectural and landscaping features, cobblestone perimeter driveway, special tiles on the stair entries, and all new landscaping and fencing. And during that same summer, the subject property became available, or we reviewed it and put 6011 Madison Road under contract. And it's really a wonderful building. We had it inspected. The structure is totally sound. And but one of the things which we identified during our due diligence is that we needed to have parking. And to dovetail on what Mark mentioned before, is that prior to buying the building, we actually met with Greg Potter of the Civic Garden Center, identified that they still had a lease on it really through September of this last year. And Mark in speaking with Mark and Bob Birch down at the city, they suggested that, if we could work out some type of a deal with them for them to move, then we potentially could move forward with either a sale or a long-term lease, which was actually contemplated originally due to the fact that there was a previous dry cleaner there and we weren't, phase 2 environmental hadn't been done yet. So I met with Greg Potter and then also Bill Pollock, who I believe is the local gardener, and discussed alternative sites and also our company funding the move, basically up to a $15,000 contribution to put in a new water tap, new fencing, et cetera. So we reached a letter of agreement with the Civic Garden Center and also received a draft LOI from the city relative to entering into a long-term lease because we weren't sure as to what was in the ground. So we went ahead and closed on the building and did some work to it over the last year, mainly adding lighting on the front. I have a slide coming up that shows you the new lighting on the building and also cleaning up the front facade. But also during that time frame, we moved forward with the city relative to how the results of the environmental, which came back clean. So that means we could move to a fee simple sale and started to work through that process. Along came COVID, along came the furlough. And so then we found ourselves in the middle of this past summer and almost really where we are today. And that is at a point that we're ready to go to be in front of you tonight to review our plans and to get your input and thoughts. One of the things though that's happened over the last few weeks, and I'll try to get through it quickly, is that my son Daniel and I were on a call and we said, we really need to come up with a name for this building. And Daniel said, well, what about one of the previous owners? So we pulled up Cages and we found that there was a bunch of owners over the last 10 years. But more importantly, we came to a point in those Cages records that the name Menino jumped off the page, where they literally, at least for the city, owned it for 100 years, but at least operated for 85 years. Basically a family local market. And so we actually met with the main, Daniel and I decided, boy, that'd be a great name for the building once it's complete. So we actually met with the Meninos, and it's really, the building has a wonderful history. Charlie Menino started his original produce company, fresh produce company, in 1916. And then he took down the land for 6011 in 1925. They built the building and opened in 1926. These are just some of the pictures, but the stories are even better. And I'm sure you recognize might recognize some of the Meninos, but it was truly a family market. And they delivered groceries to your home. They had open charge accounts. And as I've heard the stories, worked with everyone in the community, with their billing. And Kate, I think you have sent me an email a month or so ago to how generous they were and what an important part of the community was. So we have decided to dedicate the building to the Meninos. This is an article about what a loss it was to the community, and it talked about their generous contributions over the years. So we've decided to dedicate the building to the Meninos, and I've got a plaque coming up, a draft plaque towards the end of the presentation. And there is two of the Menino family members, Joanne and Charles, who we met with the other night. It was really a great experience hearing about how their family of 3 generations served the Madisonville community. So here's the plans. Here's our vision. Restore and enhance the original building. The plan is to add 7 apartments on the 2nd and 3rd floors with a rooftop garden on the back. We'll have first floor retail space available of approximately 3,500 square feet. Our target tenant there is a community market. We've spoken to a couple of in the area that are very interested. But one of the key things is parking. And with our plan for 6007 Madison Road is we'll have 12 off-street parking spots. I'll show you a site plan in another slide here. Our estimated rents here will also be 25 to 30% more affordable than what we're seeing in the market right now. And I've got a slide on that as well in the event that someone if anyone is curious as to what those dollar amounts are. To put things in, here's the front rendering. We're restoring the front, and we're adding a stair tower to the right-hand side. So we're really pleased with how those renderings have come out and what we've been able to do thus far. There'll be another slide on that. This is the side elevation where you'll see the apartments on top and the rooftop garden on the back. There'll actually be a cut through underneath the second story where there's currently a wall, and that'll allow us to create an egress around the building. Site plan coming up shortly. But to put things in perspective, this is so everyone can see it. You can see this is sort of a partial layout from Cages. It's a little rough. I apologize. But so the 6011, of course, you can see that, and the 6007 is right next door with the black lines. And because parking is critical, we also, over the last year, put in offers with Eamon Nabi, a very nice gentleman next door. 2 different offers, both were turned down because the price is very, very high. We also had under contract Mohammed, the gas station, which is the green lines, where we were just, where we had a small restaurant concept that wanted to move in, and we were going to use the existing parking lot as overflow parking for 6011. But during our due diligence with Mohammed, we identified that there were 2 storage tanks that had leaked and actually had spilled. And that became a buster site, and we were going to handle the remediation for Mohammed, but he wanted to do it himself. So anyways, so, and actually on the far left is Rakisha Quarles, Tiny Steps property, and that's highlighted. And she has about 0.5 acres. And we actually even met with Rakisha a couple of times and made her some offers to potentially carve out a portion of her parking lot behind our building to create parking space. But long and short, we didn't hear back from her on that. So the subject parcel is 0.1 acres, and it's 6007 Madison Road. So the site plan, which we have drawn, provides for ingress over 6007 and 7 apartment spots and 5 retail marketing parking spots. We've completed a coordinated site review with the city of Cincinnati, and it came back 100% fine. And there's also a bullet point here is that we plan to be donating $15,000 to the Civic Garden Center to help them with their move so that the garden can be reestablished. So the second floor has 4 apartments. They're drawn currently all as 2 bedrooms. Third floor has 3 apartments and a rear garden in the back. And here's the pricing that we have modeled and shared with the city. And we believe that these price points are anywhere from 25 to 30% under market. This is the rendering of the bronze plaque, which we intend to put on the side of the building, commemorating the huge contribution that the Menino family has made to Madisonville over the years. We've spoken at length with them. I think they're very excited about it. a couple of them might be on this call as well. I spoke with Greg Potter earlier today, Greg Potter of the Civic Garden Center, to see if he could potentially attend this call tonight as well, to speak to how much time and effort had gone into establishing this agreement. And you can all sort of read through it, but long and short of it is he's basically saying by agreeing to donate $15,000 to assist with the necessary infrastructure for the move. The Carrolls have demonstrated from the very beginning of our interaction almost a year and a half ago, they understand the value of a community garden to the community. We wish them well in their project. This is an email that he sent me earlier. So as I mentioned, we had done a little bit of work to it. We added lighting. There's really, we think, some wonderful architectural elements on the front of this building, and we wanted to bring those out right away. My son Daniel and his crews have also exposed all the brick within the building, and it's really a cool building. We love it. So we're hoping the community benefits that we bring to Madisonville is really saving a building which potentially would be torn down if someone grabs all three of the lots, our building and the two to the left. We're dedicating it to a wonderful family that's a big part of the Madisonville history. We're making a donation to the Civic Garden Center. We hope to attract a community market to the first floor, which hopefully will provide, will help out the current food desert situation. We're creating 12 off-street parking spots, and there'll be some new jobs, and our apartments are 25 to 30% more affordable than what we're seeing in the market right now.
Okay.
And we'd very much like to have everyone's support. Any questions?
Hey, Bill, can you turn on do you have the ability to turn on your camera?
Is my camera not on?
No, we can't see you. We'd like to see your smiley face.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to start video, new share. Ah,
there you go.
Did you get me?
Yep. I
apologize.
That's okay. We're looking at the presentation. I was going to wait till you were done to ask anyway. We've got a couple of questions.
Sure, good.
First question is 1 parking space per unit? Put you on.
That's correct.
That was Ann. Bob Igo asked, what's the timeline if approved?
I think we'll be complete in 9 months.
Okay.
From the transfer of the parcel. We hope to have the retail space open much sooner.
Okay.
That's going to be our first priority.
I have 3 questions I'm going to be asking of both of you. I literally came up with these this afternoon. First one should be an easy one. Tell me why you chose to locate your business in Madisonville. I think it's important that people know from both perspectives.
Well, a number of reasons. We believe it's an up and coming community. We've been driving through it for years. Love the old buildings. And that's it.
What are you doing to ensure the sustainability of your plan?
Sustainability?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of lead?
Long-term sustainability for the project. You're talking potential market, housing. What's the long-term sustainability? What are you planning to do? We'll just say just in terms of retail, what's your sustainability plan as you talk about potentially having a market to fix some of our food shortage issues? What's the sustainability plan for that? To not only attract, but then retain. And I ask this because you've been on the call all the time with Food and Family Dollar. Like what's
likely enter into, leases with a minimum of a 5-year term, ideally a 10-year term.
Okay.
And there'll be a substantial investment in tenant improvement.
In terms of economic impact, what type of economic impact are you looking at as far as like secondary and tertiary impact? Like,
well, we anticipate that the retail establishment will have permanent jobs. We know we'll have at least a minimum of 25 jobs during the construction period. And depending upon the final retail, it could be anywhere from 10 to 15 permanent jobs.
okay. Amanda, were there any questions online or in the chat?
There are not.
Okay. All right, thank you, Bill. At this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Rakisha Quarles for her presentation. Bill, reserve the right to ask you any follow-up questions, though, okay?
Of course.
Okay, thanks. Ms. Rakisha?
Hello, I am Rakisha Quarles. I am the owner and operator of Tiny Steps Development Center. We don't have any of the drawings. All I can do is talk to you about my relationship with Madisonville and the community. We've probably been silent for a long time. I've been, when I say I'm an owner operator, I not only own a business, I work in the business every single day I'm there. I was a resident in Madisonville from 1996 up until I still actually have a resident there. But my family, we actually moved out of Madisonville maybe 5 years ago. I purchased a house that needed some rehab. It was a 2-family house located on the corner of Simpson and Bramble. We turned half of the house into childcare. I started as a Hamilton County Type B provider. I was the Type B provider from 1998 to 2003. At 2003, I became a licensed Ohio Type A. Let me go back and explain to you. A Type B is when you care for 6 children or less. And we did 24-hour care. When I became a Type A, it was 12. It bumped us up to 12. And it was still 24 hours a day. I maintained that all the way up until 2011, in which we rented a building across the street from the library from Dave Johnson. We've been a long-time tenant of his, 10 years. We care for, in that building, we care for children ages 2.5 and up. We started off with 18 months, but I purchased a building in 2013, which is the property adjacent to where the Madisonville Civic Garden was. It took us maybe 2 or 3 years to get the building up and going. As I said, I've been small and I've just taken step by step in expanding the care that we give. So I opened in 6001 Madison Road. We opened that building in 2015. And in that building, we care for infants and toddlers only. We are currently in process of adding 3 more classrooms to that building. As you see, it's been a dumpster outside for the longest. COVID slowed up the construction of everything, but we kind of got everything rolling now. We're hoping within the next month, at the longest, hopefully the next month, being able to open up those 3 classrooms. My interest in the property next door was to provide some green space. My property now consists of all asphalt. So with us having infant and toddlers in the building, We take them out. We might take them out in walkers, and we don't even have to. It's not even a necessity or a mandate that we take children out under the age of 18 months. But the development wise, it's important that kids get out. It's important that they get out and have fresh air, touch grass, see the lizards crawl all over the place. I think that's part of science. And we wanted to add that area as a play space for green area for the infants and toddlers, as well as the school agers. We wanted to put a science area in there that we also want to have open to the public. We'll have to figure out a way that that's going to happen. But our play area now is just our asphalt. We actually had a saw cutting company come out and cut just a square to be able to put some climbing material to give the kids some gross motor. We have one side that we do they just ride bikes and scooters. Right behind us, the owner that is adjacent to me on the opposite side is Millie's. They live directly behind us. We allow them to use our parking space. We allow anybody to use our parking space on the weekends. We're not there. When we're closed after 6, we have our property open for people to use parking space as well. And we also have children that comes in and play in the area because they're on Princess. Yeah, the area is fenced in, but it's open. It's always open. Their closest play area is Bramble. And so we have kids that just might come over. We've had parents to stop and just ask us, do we mind if the kids go back and play, which is totally fine with me. We care for a lot of children in Madisonville, a lot of families in Madisonville. I have now, think I've done 3 generations. I heard somebody earlier today was asking about the Agape fire that happened. We actually care for their family, for Dutch Edwards' children. We also care for her grandchildren. And we have multiple families like that. So we've been in the community for a long time. We also use the resources at the library. They actually just came over yesterday to read to our toddlers. They also go over once a week to read to our preschoolers as well. So we try to use as many of the resources in Madisonville as possible. And that was another reason on why, even when the gardening was there, they allowed the children to come over. We talked about the tomatoes and how it grew. We talked about the cabbages. We just talked about the fresh produce that was there. So it would be safer actually too for us to not have children have to walk through the parking lot to get to the play area. If we had the green space that we can close off the drive-through that we use right now and open it up for the play area and use the back as just parking. Anybody have any questions? I have a developer, a commercial developer that I'm working with. He wasn't able to do the presentation tonight. He has another presentation that he had scheduled. He will be having a presentation for February 18th. If that's okay with everybody to be able to present more information. But as far as the business and any questions you have for me, anything you want to know about the daycare center, I am open to answer any questions tonight.
Amanda, before I ask my questions, were there any questions online or in the chat?
We do have a question in the chat. So I think it's maybe for both presenters here from Robert. Will both projects help with the $15,000 donation to the Civic Garden Center? I think that was just Bill's agreement with the Civic Garden Center. Is that correct?
Yes.
We are certainly offering it, yes.
Okay.
And we would also offer, Rakesh, I know we've spoken this year, we would also offer our assistance with taking up asphalt and planting grass for you.
In what area? The area that we currently own?
Yes, the area that you currently own, directly behind our building. I know that you've got your play sets that are on asphalt, and we certainly, as part of our project, could easily remove all that asphalt and plant grass for you.
In exchange for?
Well, we obviously need the garden to make our project work.
Okay, for the staircase part
Pardon me?
of the project.
Yes.
And we talked
need the
before,
garden.
we actually had talked before, and you've actually sent me drawings. And the reason, it wasn't so much of me not responding, as I told you before, we was dealing with permits and architects, because for us, for daycare, we have to have so much parking per family that we tend to care for. They're making me add more parking spaces because I am adding 3 more classrooms. And so some of the area that we have now as asphalt will remain asphalt because we have to add parking for that. But again, I am an open person. My parking, it will be available to even your project that you have going on, long as my parents have somewhere to drop off and pick off safely. Over the weekend, for your retail spots that you have available, my parking lot is always available.
Keisha,
Well,
that's
Keisha,
very generous.
what are your exact parking requirements?
I have to have 18 parking spaces, and currently now we have 12. We have 12. They don't count the ones right next to our building. They actually are making me make that a one-way.
Is that a state requirement or a city requirement?
It's a city requirement. I don't know. I've been back and forth with them about it, but they want it to be a one-way to go straight to the back of the parking lot without people going on. Like right now, you'll see cars that are parked right next to the building, and it's still open where people can drive through. They want us to discontinue that. So having the civic garden will give us the opportunity to actually close that off and fence in our area along with the civic garden and have just strictly parking in the back of the building. So no cars will even go where the play area is at all. There would be no traffic flow where the kids play.
Which is what you want. Amanda, I'm going to stop you for a second, Bill. We've got a couple of questions in the chat and online. Amanda, go ahead.
So we have a question from Dave, and he is just asking for clarification on what is the conflict between the two developments. It sounds like it's the same property for different uses.
Correct. One property is asking for, one development is asking for the property for parking. The other is asking for the property for additional space for our kids. There's offers with one developer of contributing $15,000 to the civic garden. The other property owner has already previously opened up her parking for, I know this because I know people that park there when they go to Millie's to pick up food, parking for Millie's, as well as for this new property in question, this new development in question. I'm going to ask my 3 questions. Bob, I see your question, and then I'm going to have Mark answer, Bob, your question. But so that I'm giving both presenters the opportunity. Keisha, you talked about your relationship with Madisonville, but you didn't talk about why you chose to locate your business in Madisonville. Can you talk about that?
I was previously married. His family roots in Madisonville. They still are in Madisonville. And so that's what gravitated me to Madisonville. I've grown to love the community. I have a great relationship with John P. Parker, as well as the schools that were located on Bramble. Most of the kindergarten teachers, first grade teachers all know us. We're more like I want to say, advocates for the kids with their learning. We deal with a lot of kids that have a lot of adversity. And so sometimes the parents cannot talk directly to the teachers. So we do it. We actually go up to schools. We have conferences with kids. I mean, with the teachers, with the administrators. I actually just reached out to Miss Amy, I think that was her name, who's opening up a new school. I am already looking forward to having a conversation with her to help some of our preschoolers that are actually getting ready to go to school. We have gotten very, very good reviews of the academic level that our children enter into grade school with. They enter in kindergarten, half of them are on first, second grade reading levels already. We keep the center small. A lot of people ask me, why don't you open up other centers? Because we do so well with them, but because of my personal connection with the families and with Madisonville, I've been out there, like I said, for a very long time. Care for a lot of people in Madisonville. We actually have employed over time at least 20 something employees from Madisonville. We currently still have 4 of them long term, and they're actually residents and still residents of Madisonville. My husband and I fixed up the upper level of Dave Johnson's building to help a family that was in need, to give them a place to stay. And recently we just helped them move out. They found another location on Wetzel, so they're still in Madisonville. And I like small stuff. I'm a small, intimate person, and I like the small, intimate of Madisonville.
Okay. Next question, how can you ensure the sustainability of your plan?
I think the number of years I've been out there already has spoke for itself. Of course, during the pandemic, we've had some drop in enrollment, but we opened as a pandemic center to help the first responders. So we were open during the pandemic time. As you probably noticed, we don't have signage outside our building, so a lot of people didn't even know that it was a daycare center. Word of mouth has been amazing for us. We stayed full just by people knowing, families talking about what Tiny Steps has done for their children and their families. So I see a longevity being in Madisonville. I don't plan on going anywhere. I just plan on building strength, continuing to do the best that we can with the children. And I guess being a good asset and a good neighbor in Madisonville.
Okay. And
we also did a food drive as well too. I did see her say something about the food box, and I guess we didn't get to that part. But we did do a canned food drive for families over the holidays.
Yeah. I will ask you about the secondary and tertiary impact. You kind of already answered that with your references to Dutch and watching third generation kids. But if you want to add anything to that question, to the answer to that question.
Let's see, what more do I have as far that's kind of it. And a lot of families, the center is almost like a family oriented center. The children know each other, the families know each other because they're residents of Madisonville. So we have a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles in the center that like I said, it's a family type of atmosphere, and I like keeping it that way.
Okay. There's a couple other questions in the chat. Was there anything online before we go to the chat questions, Amanda?
There's nothing else online. I do have a question. I can wait until the chat questions are answered though, but if we can remember.
No, go ahead. You've been waiting. Go ahead.
Rakisha, so you had mentioned that you're opening up 3 additional classrooms in your building. You're working on that, and that there is some parking requirements that come along with opening up those 3 additional classrooms. So my question is, if you aren't able to acquire the garden lot, which it sounds like you might expand some, it might be like a additional parking use and then additional playground use. If you're not able to acquire that, do you have any other plans for parking, or will you not be able to open up the 3 additional classrooms?
I will still be able to open up the 3 additional classrooms. I just wouldn't be able to offer them what I could offer with the space, the green space.
Thank you.
But I am going to have my commercial developer get in contact with Mr. Carroll to find out if there's a way we can see if how this can work.
Appreciate that. We'd be happy to donate the services to create another green space for you within your existing space.
Appreciate that.
There were a couple of questions in the chat. The first question is, doesn't the daycare have a playground a block away on Dave Johnson's property?
Dave Johnson's property, yes, and it's a leased property. Dave Johnson has on numerous occasions told me he's trying to sell his building. That is half the reason of us trying to get the families that we have in that building. That building holds 3 classrooms. We're trying to move those 3 classrooms before Dave Johnson sells his building. We've had we do have green space there, but we cannot transport infants and toddlers, even if it's just a block away, for them to take advantage of that green space.
Okay. And I think your answer also answers can the now vacated 2nd floor of Dave Johnson's property be used for the desired expansion? I think you just answered that with.
Yeah, he's interested in selling.
Yeah. The other question is for Mr. Carroll. Is the Menino development dead if the garden lot is not acquired?
Pretty much.
Okay. And then the Bob Igo's question, I'm gonna give this one back to you. Bob had asked the question, can the city make both projects work with the property?
Not with the 6007 property. It's a pretty small lot, so I don't think we're able to fit Rokisha's green space and Bill's parking spots on 6007. I mean, they're two. To be honest, I think they're 2 very strong proposals. So I mean, we'll certainly work for the win-win situation, but not able to fit both of these proposals on the same garden lot.
Okay. And then there was one question in the Q&A. It's kind of more of a rhetorical question. So the plot of land in dispute will either be a parking lot or a green space. That would, from the city perspective, yes, it's got to be one or the other.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
So the plot of land will either be a green space or a parking lot. Basically, it can't have 2 owners.
Yes, it'll either be acquired by Bill and he'll turn it into parking, or it'll be acquired by Rokisha and she'll turn it into green space.
Okay.
I think with all the development going on, we're losing a lot of green space actually, and the kids, it's important. It's really important to their development.
Okay. There's another question for Rokisha. Will you have a drawing of your plans at next month's meeting?
Yes.
And if we can get those sooner, we can of course put those out. So as soon as you get those. Were there any other questions? And again, if you looked at your agenda, there was a reason why there was no vote to be taken, presentations only. The city wanted the opportunity to hear the feedback. One of the things that we've been tasked with this year is in terms of up and coming developments or city property acquisitions, to make sure that we have the information out there as quickly as possible so that people can actually take some time, do their research, and just understand the changes that are happening in the neighborhood. I'm sorry, I'm reading a question. If Bill is able to make green space from the asphalt already. April, I'm not sure what you're asking. I unmuted you if you want to ask your question, because I'm not sure what
Thank you.
you're asking.
I would just really want to know, because Bill offered to make some of the asphalt that Rakeisha already owns and the green space. If she was able to get green space out of some of the land she already owns, would that help her out? And then Bill could still build his staircase?
I'm sorry, I was looking for the mute button. Yes, it will.
So if you all reach a compromise where he could help you get the green space you're looking for, then you'll be willing to let him have that property to do the stairwell for the building.
Yes, that's the only
Okay.
reason we look forward to it.
So then you and him would have to have a discussion.
Oh, it's the
Then that's
stairwell.
all I wanted to throw out there. Okay.
Keisha, we'd be happy to do it.
Yeah, I know before when you presented me with a plan, it was parking that you wanted to put on the side and kind of go around. So the stairway is something new. That's something I was not aware of. That was the plan. It wasn't so much of parking.
Well, we're happy to get together with you, you know, at your first convenience and figure out how we can turn your existing area or maybe even reposition it a little closer to the building, and you know how we could, you know, excavate that and plant a very nice lawn for you.
I appreciate that, and we'll see if we can help that so that the park can be available again to you as well as it's available to the neighboring retail stores right now. And we do the same thing at the Dave Johnson building as well, with parking for the cheesecakery.
So can I ask a question about that? And this is just for clarification. I know during the school day, you ask that people don't park in those lots because I call it school day. You have school going on, there's kids there. But after hours, so after 6 o'clock, that lot would be open for, and this is hypothetical, your lot would be open for people frequenting retail space in the building next door. That lot would be open for people to park their vehicles if they're living above that retail store.
Yes,
okay.
As long as it's gone in the morning so that my parents have a way to drop their kids off and my employees also have somewhere to park when they're there.
Okay.
Right now we have a lot of required space that we don't always use.
Which would potentially solve the parking issue for Mr. Carroll as well. Okay.
Well, I don't think it would really solve our parking issue, you know, for purposes of attracting, you know, a nice community market and tenants. We're going to need those 12 spots that we've drawn. But I appreciate the offer.
I'll get back with you on that one because I just got a parking inventory that based on the blocks that they counted might actually say otherwise. It's something I'm going to circle back with Mark on. There might be some opportunities here. My wheels are turning right now. So Amanda, if there were no other questions, any other questions online or in the chat?
Nope.
Okay. I do have one last question for Mark, putting you back on the spot again, Mark. What's the city's timeline for recommendation, et cetera? Are we on a tight timetable? Are we still gathering more information?
Before answering, I'll just say, Bill and Rakeisha, thank you very much for presenting tonight. And as far as timeline goes, we would move from here to City Planning Commission and City Council. That in and of itself is a months-long process. Probably to get through both of those approvals, I would estimate 3 to 4 months. And before we do that, we would need to come to a recommended proposal that we would present to the City Planning Commission. So that will take a little time as well, but this has been helpful tonight, hearing the questions answered and the feedback. So hoping to move forward as quickly as possible because this has been a longer process, but we'll make sure we do it right. And I would say this will certainly bring us into the spring, if not late spring.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Rokisha, for your time this evening. Amanda just reminded me that I forgot to post the results of the poll. Brian, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to keep you in suspense. Amanda and Sean, who are panelists, weren't able to vote, but they actually cast their vote in the chat. So it was, I'm trying to do math in my head, 19 for, 0 against, 2 abstentions. So Brian, I'll get you that updated letter.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. I share the results. Are there any announcements before I close out the meeting? I got a hand up. Sarah, you had an announcement?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have an announcement, I just have a question. I noticed that at the end of the year, there was a new liquor permit that was applied for and approved with no objections from the Madisonville Community Council. And I missed a couple meetings at the end of the year, so I apologize if I missed this, but it's at 5832 Granville. And I just didn't know if that was the bar that's down there, or is there a new business going down there? The applicant was Total Quality Management LLC.
No, so this has actually been, I'm glad you brought this up. I actually forgot about this. This has actually been a whole ongoing issue. Total Quality Management is actually the Madison Lounge, which currently resides there. They had initially had looked to apply for a D, if I remember correctly, it was a D4. They decided they didn't want to apply for it, which basically just allowed them to do some additional types of sales during the pandemic. They decided not to apply for it. They rescinded their application with the state. With everything going on with COVID, somehow it was still presented, even though they had rescinded it. I don't know, I think Al left because Al had actually called me about this as well. It still ended up coming up before the city and the state. Mike, who actually owns Total Quality, actually had to go call the state again, tell him no, no changes were issued, no fees were paid for changing the license. It literally was a paperwork issue. So no, there's no new bar, no licensing actually ever changed. We all kind of chalk it up to everything that happens with COVID. I know somebody earlier today told me that they had applied for permitting for something and the permit mysteriously disappeared, completely lost, which I thought was odd. So
thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm actually glad you asked, because I meant to bring it up in December and I completely forgot about it, and then I forgot about it today. So thank you, Sarah.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Any other announcements or questions? Mr. Capister, you've got a question, sir.
Yes, any update on the Agape Cafe situation with their the damage done to their building and their reconstruction?
No updates from city and fire, from police and fire. It's an active investigation. From a rebuild perspective, I know right now, when I had last talked to Terry Henry's the business chamber president, she was basically just working through getting things cleaned up and getting some repairs done. And they're hoping, I think, to open in the next 2 months. So as soon as we have more information, we'll let you know. We'll probably post something on our social media. We've just asked people that once she opens back up, just to show that agape love and order a burger or a salad, or just pop in and say hi and say we support. She's been in Madisonville for a long time. So we look forward to the restaurant return.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Tony? Unmute you. There you go. Unmute yourself.
Oh, I can't figure out which one you did. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When you were talking about the numbers for the signage up on Madison Road, I had asked which number of those is for the dollar store. When he named the different names and numbers, I
That's
don't know. I was just asking.
I honestly don't know the address offhand. Brian, you still
Okay.
on?
Yeah, yeah.
Do
Sorry.
you know which address which address is the address for the dollar store for
I'm
Family
pretty
Dollar?
sure it's 50, was it 5812? It was included in that list.
Okay, so there will be signage for the dollar store.
I mean, if they stay, we certainly hope they kind of.
What? Oh, so that is a question now about them staying. See, that was what I was waiting on.
Yeah, yeah, it is kind of looks like they are not staying.
You know how that came about? Can you give any information?
So I'm not involved in the process. From what I know is they sent a letter, or they had an option in their lease to basically, exit their lease without penalties, and for some reason they chose to do that. The lease was pretty favorable that we inherited from the city, so yeah, it's kind of confusing why they would, but that's kind
Right.
of
It is. It's a conversation that we've been having, and no one has any answers from their area. So we're wondering about it.
yeah,
Since
yeah, and we've talked about
since we need that store.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, once again, I'm not in a position to make any decision on that matter. But from what I've heard in the office is they chose not to renew their lease. And it wasn't anything that we kind of forced on them. So
Okay, I just needed a
yes, if
statement.
they do stay, I hope they put up signage.
Miss Tony, if you're looking for an official statement, I'd recommend reaching out to Ackerman Group. Is it?
Well, I also want to reach out. I also want to reach out to the dollar store, since we have such a need for our elderly, our disabled, our single parent moms, young people. Yeah, I want to reach out to each if no one else has gained that information.
Yeah, I mean, we suggest kind of reaching out to corporate, and maybe, if there's a community campaign, they'll change their decision. So
Thank you, and I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much, Brian.
no problem.
Thanks, Brian. Were there any other questions? All right, if there are no other questions or announcements, we'll go ahead and consider this meeting to be adjourned. Our next meeting is next month, February 18th. We hope to see you all there. Look for information to get released this weekend for committee meetings, for tentative calendar of events, and we'll see you all next month or in the neighborhood. Have a good night, everyone.
See you guys.
Good night.
Things.